of OPSEU begins with the Civil Service Association of Ontario in 1911 as a coal-buying cooperative and social club for government workers. By the 40s, it's doing more than being a cooperative and is now also talking regularly with government over pay and appointments, but won't call itself a union. It abandons its cooperative buying days by the early 60s, and in 1966 officially registers as a union with the Ontario Labour Relations Board. The first groups to be organized are hospital workers and college support staff. The CSAO's next generation begins in late 1974 when it changes its name to the Ontario Public Service Employees Union. Many people are instrumental in the birth of OPSEU. Chief among them are Jim Tate, Ron Haggett, Vic Williams, and Neil Pollock. The Four Horsemen, as they became known, dream of making OPSEU a democratically run union. The CSAO was previously run by non-elected staff. But thanks to the relentless pressure of the democracy-minded Four Horsemen, the board votes itself the power to hire and control the top 3 staff. After a short period under interim leadership in 1975, elections are held in 1976, and a hospital attendant from Woodstock named Charles Darrow becomes OPSEU's first member to be elected president.
We demand a catch-up wage increase, and we demand it now.
Sean O'Flynn, a Toronto-based psychologist street worker, becomes OPSEU's second president in 1978. Under O'Flynn, OPSEU holds its first 3 strikes, including the infamous Corrections Wildcat in 1980.
We caught the government by surprise because the government never thought that their public servants would ever go on strike.
O'Flynn is convicted of defying a court order prohibiting the action and serves 23 days behind bars. Meanwhile, efforts continue to turn OPSEU into a union that gives workers power as well as service. Organizing the broader public sector, as compared only to the civil service, would help accomplish that goal. It is hoped that new blood, brought in after intense organizing drives in the BPS, known as the Ontario Labour Relations Act sector, would give OPSEU that hard edge. When O'Flynn steps down as president, BPS membership is up 16%. The next era of OPSEU begins in 1985 with the election of President James Clancy, a government caseworker who specializes in psychiatric outpatient duties in Toronto's downtown core. As president, Clancy feels that OPSEU not only needs to be talking about wages, pensions, and workplace conditions, but also broader issues of the day. This is the start of OPSEU's social conscience.
I came from a generation that felt that we needed to talk about social issues of the day, and we did. We did. So much so that we ended up at the Supreme Court of Canada with the Levine case.
Francis Levine, an Ontario community college teacher, complains that OPSEU is using union dues for purposes for which he disagrees. Levine claims this infringes his rights under the Freedom of Expression section of the Charter. The Supreme Court disagrees and rules unanimously against Levine. Clancy took the decision and ran with it, making OPSEU one of the busiest social unions in the country.
When we get our interests working with the public interest, it's a really strong force. So we campaigned like hell, like crazy. OPSEU was the campaigning union of that time, and there was no other union in Canada that could touch us in terms of our campaigning.
In 1990, Fred Upshaw, a psychiatric nurse from Whitby, is elected president of OPSEU. He is the first black president of a major Canadian union. One of his first jobs is the fight against NDP Premier Bob Rae's social contract. Also during this time, OPSEU negotiates the right to strike and creation of the OPSEU Pension Trust.
So you take the right to strike and you take the pension plan. And boy, we're now a full-fledged union.
For the first time, members have input into how pension surpluses are used and how the fund is invested. Union membership is at about 70,000. Throughout this period, OPSEU's social conscience continues to evolve. OPSEU adopts an employment equity policy, becoming one of the first unions to hire a human rights officer, and is instrumental in providing innovative language around maternity leave, human rights legislation, and employment equity. Leah Castleman's presidency begins in 1995 after the corrections officer defeated Upshaw to become the first female to lead the union. In 1996, not long after she's elected, the OPS strikes for the first time with some 60,000 people on the picket lines.
The first OPS strike was the largest strike in Canadian history. And I think all the members of OPSEU learned a great deal, so it really did build a lot of cohesion within the union.
This is in response to PC Premier Mike Harris's slash-and-burn approach to the civil service. The government turns the OPP loose to use violent tactics in an attempt to control the strikers. When the strike ends, the 5-week walkout achieves language around reasonable efforts, language used in following years to win a host of arbitration awards, saving thousands of jobs and thwarting Harris's plans for privatization. In March 2002, more than 45,000 OPS members are back on strike, this time over pension control, wages, and job quality concerns for temporary workers. Essential and emergency services continue. The strike lasts 8 weeks. Just 1 year later, hospital professionals launch a job action called a Hospital Emergency Day of Action to back bargaining demands. The day after the protest, the OHA agrees to the union's arbitration process. This is the first such action by the hospital group, who are denied the right to strike under the Hospital Labor Disputes Arbitration Act. In March 2006, teachers, counselors, and librarians go on strike at 24 community colleges. Education quality is the central issue. OPSEU picketer John Stammers, a professor at Centennial College, is killed after being struck by a car on March 20. The strike lasts 3 weeks before the management and the union bargaining team agree to send the outstanding issues to binding arbitration.